Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports. Coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, on a beautiful, I think it's November 20th, 2020. Grande Deportes, bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, it's going good for us, but it's not going good for former Atlanta Falcons Tank McKinley, who has been cut twice in the last 4 days after shooting off his mouth talking about he was demanding a trade at the deadline for the NFL. He was picked up by the Bengals. They cut him after failing a physical. He was picked up by the 49ers. They cut him after failing a physical. So you think about, in a matter of 7 days, he spent time with 3 different NFL teams.
Yeah.
But I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They spend time helping anybody's team.
They help everybody's team, Big C. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he will do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing. You know how quarterbacks pause when they go, hut 1, hut 2, hut 3. Big C, I will never pause on the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C, why is that so important to you?
Well, Charlton, it's important to me, and it should be important to everybody else. Your President Donald Trump came out of his cubbyhole today to come out and speak, but he didn't address any issues that deal with our military veterans, Charlton. We lose some 24 a day to suicide, and maybe we need a change of administration so they can address that issue on a national stage. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, trying to help stem the tide of that suicide that goes on so horrendously in this country, Charlton, but it still has not stopped that disease from afflicting so many people in America on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Our veterans suffer mentally, physically, and economically every day. Many other Americans do also, Charlton. But they served our country and didn't ask for anything in return. And this country has turned its back on those veterans, Charlton, in a time of need. They suffer through COVID-19 like everybody else does.
Yeah.
But this suicide is something that needs to be addressed on a national scale, Charlton.
Yeah, Big C, I just want to commend you because I didn't know about it until you told me about it. Even ESPN is doing a crisis hotline for our military folks, Big C. It's all fair in level war. They won't give you credit, but they're doing a good job just repeating it. Big C, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You can definitely get our veterans some help. Also very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants in the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run leader Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, tell him Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country to put people back to work, just like McDonald's does it, car dealers do it, and sports teams are doing it. You can watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, just go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com, and you can definitely get some help. Big C, I'm so appreciative of opportunities. Quicken Loans underwrites most of our loans on the wholesale side anywhere in the world. I know a lot of NBA players Many more just got drafted last night. Man, some of those kids could use a sandwich, Big C, but I'm sure they can order the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. And if you were lucky enough to get drafted by an NBA team, may you also enjoy the Big C burger. Anywhere in the world, if you have a cell phone, pick up your cell phone, and just like Captain Kirk said, beam me up, Scotty. All you got to say is play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. And you'll see it on many applications from iHeartRadio Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so many apps, and I really do appreciate it. So, Big C, you said POTUS came out. Did you say he was out getting a suntan? That you see he came out for some sunshine, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he was looking awful pale like he hasn't seen the sun in a while. So he came out of his cubby hole today, told a couple lies, and went back in without taking any questions.
Yeah, you know how sometimes the universe will straighten you out, especially when you hear that lightning sometimes, or you see lightning and hear the thunder. The universe does things. I hope everybody's well, especially coming up on this holiday weekend. But isn't it something? Black men built the White House. In fact, black men and women built this country for free, Big C. And not only did black men build the White House, the only president in the history of the United States of America, a black man, President Barack Obama, created the Affordable Care Act. I know George Bush actually introduced it, but President Obama got it signed through executive order, and it has pre-existing conditions. You cannot turn people down. Would you believe Donald Trump's trying to tear it down? His son just tested positive for COVID-19, and because of a black man, President Barack Obama, he can still get insurance. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the nation at a horrific rate is testing positive for COVID-19. We haven't had a day in the last 4 that under 180,000 Americans have tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah, and I just hope that everybody stays healthy, wash your hands, social distance, do everything you can, and please keep people safe. I want to get into Big C's thoughts on some NFL football. Before I even ask you one thought on the games coming up, I want to touch on what happened last night up in the great state of Washington, Seattle, Washington. The Seattle Seahawks, Big C, they needed a win. They got a win. In their defense, ironically, is the one that decided to turn around and play good football. The Seattle Seahawks, a 28-21 win over the Arizona Cardinals last night. Russell Houdini Wilson was back to doing his thing. He must be eating the Big C burger. He set a record for throwing 30 or more touchdowns in 4 consecutive seasons. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, it was a game that both teams needed to take command of the NFC West, Charlton. Seattle came out on top in that game. They still didn't play their best game offensively. They were 4 points under their season total on what their average per game was, but it was a much-needed victory nevertheless. The running game showed up for Seattle last night, and that was the difference maker, is that they were able to take time off the clock. They were able to limit the opportunities that Kyler Murray had. And this is, you know, par for the course with the Arizona Cardinals. When you hold Kyler Murray under 20 yards rushing, the Cardinals normally lose, and that's what Seattle did last night. They got to the young quarterback on several occasions in the backfield to limit his threat down the field. Yeah. But, you know, as you said, Seattle's defense played well last night, something they've been lacking all season. Yeah, they've been lacking all season, but they got it back. They are 7-3 on the season. They're the number 1 team in the NFC West. And you think about it, when he had an 11-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett in the second quarter, it led to an eventual 28-21 win. And thinking about what he did, reaching 30 touchdown passes for the season, and we're only at 10 games for the Seahawks, Big C. A lot of guys can't even do that throughout playing the whole season in 16 games. He joins Brett Favre for the Green Bay Packers, also doing his thing for the Minnesota Vikings at one time, and Drew touchdown Brees for the New Orleans Saints as the only quarterbacks in NFL history to throw for 30 or more, and he's still doing his thing, and we don't know if Drew Brees is going to retire. Big C, your thoughts? Well, I think the true story out of that, Charlton, was Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett tied a feat that had only been accomplished by one NFL receiver prior to last night's game. That's having 20 receptions and over 250 yards against one team in a single season. And he's done that against the Arizona Cardinals in their 2 matchups this year. So Tyler Lockett has joined a prestigious club that only he and Jerry Rice are participants in. Yeah, and Jerry Rice's son is playing at Colorado, the Pac-12, Colorado Buffaloes. And they're waiting for someone from the SEC to try to find them
But also for people, when you think about Russell Houdini Wilson, isn't it amazing where he has not played well in his last 2 games prior to last night getting the game, and they needed that game, and they won that game against the Cardinals. So we know who wins a bird fight, a Cardinal or a Seahawk. Is definitely Seahawk, at least is tied. They're tied right now. But he's never won an MVP, Big C. Why is that important? Because Tom Brady from 2010 to 2012 and Peyton Manning from 2012 to 2014 only done it 3 times where they've thrown 30 or more touchdowns. They both have been league MVPs, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they've been league MVPs, but also what has happened with Russell Wilson is that quarterbacks have had career years in years that he's had good years, Charlton, and that's always the stumbling point with anybody getting an opportunity to win an MVP.
Yeah.
You know, for people to say that Lamar Jackson last year was a better quarterback than Russell Wilson,
no.
He was just dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, when Patrick Mahomes won it 2 years ago, he was just the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson went to back-to-back Super Bowls and never got a nod for the MVP.
Yeah, and that's crazy. And last night, Big C, the Seahawks win. It earned him the 93rd victory of his career as a starter. That moves him past Peyton Manning with 92 wins for the most of any quarterback in his first 9 seasons in the NFL. And no MVP, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, like I said, Charlton, it comes about who's hot in a particular year. I mean, you can have an average year that you're normally having, but other guys come out and have spectacular years.
Yeah, and then Peyton Manning, 186 all-time wins. He trails Tom Brady with 226 wins, regular season and counting. And it's all fair and level war. I just wish all of these great quarterbacks the best, but we got to enjoy it while it's here, because just like the Big C burger, after there are a couple of bites, it's all gone, and then you got to order the second one. It's all fair and level war. I want to get into Big C's NFL games of the week, big-time players making big-time plays. I'm going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals for Week 11, Big C. They are 2-6-1. These good old boys are at Washington, which is only 2-7. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And your friends at the MGM, they have Alex Smith and the Redskins favored by 1.5, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, I like that. When you think about the performance that Alex Smith had last week, he had the most single yards in a passing game in his NFL career.
Yeah.
He seems to be 100% recovered from that horrific leg injury that he had. And the Washington run game was really strong last week to help him out, Charlton. I mean, he had a couple of errant passes. One ended up in an interception that cost him the game. But Alex Smith stayed in there to the end until Chase Young decided to give it up on defense with a dumb penalty late in the game.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow has been trying all year long, Charlton. He's been sacked over 30 times this season, leading the NFL.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of attrition for that young quarterback in Cincinnati. His receiving core has stepped up. The defense has to stay better if they want to be in this game against Washington.
Yeah, they got to do that. He's been sacked 32 times, Big C. It's amazing how many times they've gotten to that young kid, but it's going to make him better as long as he stays healthy. A game that was a playoff game last year, and they're still balling both sides of the ball. The Tennessee Titans, they are 6-3. They're at the Baltimore Ravens that are also 6-3. It's a Sunday, 1 o'clock East Coast kickoff on CBS Sports. Your friend at the MGM, they have the Ravens favorite by 6. Big C, they better not fall behind, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got two of the most dominant run games in the NFL facing off, Charlton. We know the last time that these two teams faced off that the Tennessee Titans run game ran all over the Baltimore Ravens. And when you look at the Ravens defense, Charlton, they've been beat up.
Yeah.
They've lost a couple of key starters on the defensive line, a defensive back, Charlton. So they're going to be questionable on that defensive side of the ball. Derrick Henry can get it turned up against this team. You know how he likes to run over people.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down to the quarterbacks who have the hot hand. I give Ryan Tannehill the upper hand in this because he's a more efficient passer. And those receivers in Tennessee have really evolved. Lamar Jackson, he needs to learn how to throw the ball to the outside. They figured out that he's going to throw over the middle to the tight end.
Yeah.
A short, controlled passing game. But that's not going to get it done in this game against the Titans.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to keep themselves healthy, and you stay healthy when you're not coming from behind. I want to ask you one more thought when you think about Lamar Jackson. I mean, they're still 6-3. He may be the most criticized 6-3 quarterback so far in the league this year. Big C, your thoughts?
No, he's criticized like everybody else, Charlton, but he hasn't taken a step forward. He's taken a step back from his MVP year that he had last year, and that's the judge of a quarterback.
Yeah.
When you set the bar high and then you don't ascend to that bar that you set, you're going to face criticism and skepticism.
Yeah, and they got to keep that defense off the field. They got to get Henry and keep him in check if the Ravens want to help Lamar get to 7-3. Big C, another game that has me a little bit flummoxed. The Atlanta Falcons, them good old boys, are 3-6. They're at the New Orleans Saints. They're 7-2. They don't have Drew touchdown Breeze, but they're starting Taysom Hill, who's never thrown an NFL touchdown. It's a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And your friends at the MGM, they have the Saints favored by 5 against Matt Ryan, a quarterback who's never thrown a touchdown. And for the Saints, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, if you go back 3 weeks ago when Tua started with the Dolphins, he had never thrown a touchdown pass in the NFL.
Yep.
He's been 3-0 as a starter.
Good point.
I think what Sean Payton is doing in this situation is that he's putting the quarterback in that's most familiar with the way that this offense works in New Orleans. Taysom Hill has been around. He's been a situational quarterback in New Orleans, and he has played well in those times.
Yeah.
What he brings to this situation with the offense is that highly mobile quarterback, like the two that you saw last night playing up in Seattle.
Yeah.
He's always going to give you that RPO option in the backfield with the Saints, something they haven't consistently had since Drew Brees has been the quarterback down there. Matt Ryan, on the flip side, has been hot. The Atlanta Falcons have been hot. They should have won 4 consecutive games. They've been 3-4 since Raheem Morris has taken over the team, Charlton. The defense has played better. Todd Gurley is the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL, so this is going to be an exciting game, seeing Todd Gurley go against Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, it will be nice. And maybe they can run the Delaware wing T. And maybe we can think about it. Maybe Peyton's outsmarted everybody. Maybe they're not even focused on how to contain Jameis Winston. They're looking at a guy who doesn't throw much. I'm sure we're going to see both guys getting under the center in that game. Big C, another game that has a lot of Lions. I know the Big C burger comes with exotic meats, if that makes any sense to you. The Lions, they're 4-5. They're at the Carolina Panthers that are 3-7. It's a Sunday 1 kickoff, East Coast time on Fox. And there's no line on this game, but it's hard for me to see the Lions going into Carolina. If Teddy Bridgewater plays, I think they win. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a game of 2 beat-up quarterbacks, Charlton. When you think about, Matthew Stafford has a ligament problem in his right thumb. You think about Teddy Bridgewater has a ligament problem in his right knee. He's going to be a game-time decision.
Yep.
Both teams have been a little beat up coming into this week, Charlton. So it's going to be about whose defense is wanting to be the most dominant. You think about the Lions, they're also without their top rusher, DeAndre Swift. He's in concussion protocol. Christian McCaffrey is not playing for the Panthers, so both teams are without their top running back. So this is a game of the IR, really.
Yeah, it's a game of the IR. A lioness can mate up to 100 times a day, and that's why we say eat the Big C burger, because it comes with exotic meats. You know that lions also eat exotic meats, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, they'll eat any meat that's laying around, Charlton.
Yeah, they'll eat any meat that's laying around. Can't wait to see who doesn't get eaten alive in that game, the Lions and the Panthers. Big C, a game that has so much riding on these 2 quarterbacks. Both of them are being top-of-the-line quarterbacks in college football, also the NFL. The New England Patriots, they're on a roll. It's a slow roll, like a train, but it's a roll. They're 4-5. They're at the Houston Texans, that are not lifted off. They're 2-7. It's a Sunday 1 East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports. And the Patriots are going down to Texas, and they're getting 1.5. Maybe the guys in Vegas haven't heard about those Texas officials. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think realistically that Texas is just playing out the string.
Yeah.
This is a team that seems to be without any motivation. You got 2 wins on the season. You're going nowhere. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're just playing for a draft pick and trying to figure out who your next head coach is going to be next year.
Yeah.
New England, for some reason, they try to find a spark here and there. They're an inept passing team, and that's their Achilles heel. They cannot throw the ball. They've been a dominant running game the last 3 weeks, and they've run the ball on their opponents very well. But they have to throw the ball if they expect to win down in Texas. Cam Newton cannot come out of this game with less than 200 yards passing.
Let me get your thoughts on Watson and also Cam Newton, 2 guys, up for Heisman trophies back in the days of college with us a long time ago. That's when they were paid by paper bags as opposed to going to the automatic draft in the banquet pot. Give me your feeling. Both of these quarterbacks, they're similar in size. Cam Newton's a little bit bigger. They're both mobile quarterbacks. I hate the fact that neither of them have a running game to help them out, or really a passing game. Which one do you feel has more in jeopardy if they were to lose this game, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the jeopardy is on Cam Newton. Deshaun Watson is fine. He just signed a 4-year contract extension, the second largest contract in the NFL.
Yeah.
Cam Newton is playing for his football life. Like I said, he needs to have at least 200 yards passing in this game for the Patriots to win.
Yeah, they got Rex Burkhead doing his thing. They got to just keep feeding the ball. I know Cam Newton's a run-and-pass option, but turn around and hand off to your running back so you don't get banged up. We know he came off of that shoulder injury last year. Big C, another big game. The Eagles, they're 3-5-1, and they're at the Cleveland Browns 6-3. I was hearing that some talk come out of Pennsylvania that they might want to save on jet fuel and make the Eagles fly into the stadium up in Cleveland. 3-5-1 at the Browns, 6-3. It's a Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And don't get fooled, but the MGM, your friends, have the Browns favored by 3.5. Big C, your thoughts?
And I like that line, Charlton. The Cleveland Browns have Nick Chubb back. And when he's running, Charlton, he's one of the top running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
We saw what he did last week after coming back, 124 yards on the ground and a touchdown. He's just one of those dominant running backs, and that's what the Cleveland Browns are built for.
Yeah.
Running the football. Telling Baker Mayfield, just hand it off. Don't put the team in jeopardy. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you got Carson Wentz, who mentally, I think he's in the same room with Sam Darnold of the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Both of those guys wear green and they're confused. They don't understand what the NFL is all about right now.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are struggling. They don't have anything offensively to get themselves going. Carson Wentz, is turning the ball over 2 times every game.
Yeah.
And that's not a recipe to win.
No, it's not a recipe to win. I want to get your thoughts on something. If Carson Wentz is really struggling, and it seems like he is, Jalen Hurts played at Oklahoma before he was playing at Alabama. So you have 2 quarterbacks in that are going to be, Mayfield and also Hurts that played in that Oklahoma system. It would make sense to me if you're Carson Wentz and you're struggling, start to work in Jalen Hurts. Just kind of give both players a chance to help the offense and stop making it just about Carson struggling. Big C, your thoughts?
They're not going to do that. This is about Carson Wentz psyche. You replace him with Jalen Hurts, he's totally in the tank. So the Eagles are not willing to do that as an organization. This is the reason why they're paying him $111 million guaranteed in his contract, Charlton. Jalen Hurts is the backup. If any move is to be made, it will be made next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I think it wouldn't hurt him to get him a couple of series in there and see if he can turn things around. Here's a game that makes sure you don't miss this. If you're the Miami Dolphins fans, this might be the most watched game this weekend because a lot of spinkers are getting tight down in South Florida. You have the Pittsburgh Terrible Towel Steelers. They're 9-0 in the season. They haven't lost the game since last year, Big C. In fact, Big Ben hasn't lost the game since 2 years, Big C. They're at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 1-8. This game is Sunday, 1 o'clock East Coast time, kickoff on CBS Sports. And the Pittsburgh Terrible Towel Steelers are favored by 9 points down in the Sunshine State. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, 9, that may be a first-half cover, Charlton, on the 9. The Pittsburgh Steelers are just a dominant team, both sides of the football.
Yeah.
When you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, Charlton, they're just playing out the string right now with the rookie quarterback. And, Pittsburgh will just dominate this game from start to finish.
Give me your feeling on a team that's 9-0 versus a team that's 1-8. I know if you're a college program, maybe college teams have a letdown, or they may win by 30 points. There's no NFL team that's going to win by 30 points. But are you concerned at all if the Steelers might overlook another professional football league team? Big C, your thoughts?
No, Charlton, they made the trip in, so they're not overlooking. They showed up to play.
Yeah.
But, there's a huge talent discrepancy between these two teams and a desire to win. And Pittsburgh has both of those in their favor.
Yeah, and they got to get rookie running back James Robinson going 20 carries or more if they're going to try to keep this game close. Big C, I'm looking at a game that on paper you wouldn't be too sure. I don't know how the Denver Broncos are making it. They have quarterbacks that just throw the ball away to the other players. Drew Lock, I don't understand how he's still a starter in the league. But the Miami Dolphins This team is on a swing, or would it be a swim? Maybe they're on a swim, Big C. They are swimming over to Denver. They are 6-3. They are at the Denver Broncos that are 3-6. It's a Sunday 4:05 kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And the Dolphins are only favored by 4, but they seem like a much better team than the 4-point. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Dolphins have not been explosive offensively. They've won their games with two at quarterback with their defense and special teams. They've accounted for at least 2 touchdowns in every game that he has started, Charlton. So he has not been as explosive as people would be led to believe by the Dolphins going 3-0 with him as a starter.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, Denver is a team that's without a quarterback this week. Locke will not play this week because he has a hand injury. So they'll be going most likely to Ripken, their backup quarterback, a rookie out of Boise State.
Yeah.
Their running game has not been what it used to be. Lindsey had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons as a running back with the Broncos, but he's had to split time with Delvin Gordon.
Yeah.
So they haven't had consistency in the running game. They lost Cortland Sutton, their best receiver. So the Denver Broncos are one of those teams in this space. But the Miami Dolphins shouldn't tiptoe into Denver sleeping because they can get knocked off. We saw the last time that Ripken played quarterback in the NFL, Charlton.
Yep.
He passed for over 3 yards and got his first pro victory.
Yeah, they got to use running back Matt Breeder to take some pressure off of Big Tua. I'm going to call Tua Tagovailoa Big Tua. We're going to do one more game to come up on the Big C, pause Big C. And it's a game, my goodness, if you're the Chargers, play until the clock says 0. You don't want to give it. The Chargers, use your lightning bolts, use your power. It's all fair and love and war. The New York touchdown Jets, they're 0-9. They're at the beautiful helmet, at least. The Los Angeles Chargers that are 2-7, Big C. It's a Sunday kickoff, 4:05 p.m. East Coast time on CBS Sports. And the Chargers are favored by 8.5. And this is a game that they have got to win. No excuses, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess this has been a tale of the Pac-12 quarterbacks. You have Sam Darnold in New York, who is not going to play, who cannot win.
Yeah.
And then you got, Justin Herbert with the Chargers, who can throw the ball, who cannot win.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for him to play against Joe Flacco to see if he can hold the lead, Charlton. He cut his hair this week. Hopefully that will give him an advantage that people will think he's just a little kid out there playing instead of a rookie.
Yeah.
But, the Chargers have to find a way to stop the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a team that cannot produce anything. But if the Jets can score on you as the Dolphins, I'm worried about Anthony Lynn's future.
Yeah, Anthony Lynn, get out there and get some lightning bolts and rub them together, whatever it takes to play. You have L.A., the edge rusher for Joey Bosa, and Melvin Ingram. The O-line cannot take that away. I mean, it's just important that the Chargers win this game. I really want to see them compete. They're a team that's been snake-bitten, if that makes sense to you. They've been losing in the last moments of the game. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, and when we come back, we're going to get Big C's thoughts on a few more NFL games, and then college football. Is anyone from the SEC afraid to come out and play the Pac-12? We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. Spotify, a lot of them out there. Just open your phone and say play Big C Sports Podcast, and you'll hear our sponsors. You will hear Welcome to the Show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. Big C, in the beginning of the season, there was so much talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who have not won a Super Bowl since they got the win against the Pittsburgh Steelers way back in the day. The Cowboys are only 2-7, and no one would ever think about that until you look at it. They're 2-7. I know they don't have Dak Prescott, but they are 2-7. They're at the Vikings that are 4-5, and they're playing a little bit better, if that makes sense. It's a Sunday, 4:25 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports, and the Vikings at home are only favored by 7. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we know the Dallas Cowboys cannot stop the run. But, the Dallas Cowboys have been the forefront of all the media's thoughts for the last decade, even though they've done nothing realistically during that time other than one season. This is a team that has a legacy of the media that always loves them, known as America's team.
Yep.
But they cannot play football. They are a bad football team. Dalvin Cook should have another banner day against this Minnesota Vikings defense. Kirk Cousins needs to stay in his lane, hand the ball off consistently, just only throw it sparingly, and the Vikings will cover that.
Big C, are you still impressed with the running power of Ezekiel Elliott? I don't want to put it all on Ezekiel. People know they can't throw the football. Dalton had COVID-19, plus he had a concussion, and he also has his hurt feelings because none of his teammates took up for him when he was getting the concussion, Big C. You still impressed with Ezekiel Elliott, or is he looking to run to the greener pastures, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, when was the last time you seen Ezekiel Elliott run for anything? He has not even impressed himself.
Yeah, he hasn't done a lot, but I'm looking at the Cowboys making a lot of changes going into next year. Jerry Jones, you're not getting any younger, Jerry. You got to find out what you're going to do, and I don't know if the same coaching staff is going to help them, but it's all fair in love and war. What might be the game of the week? In fact, I won't say Super Bowl matchup, but it could be the game of the week. You have the Green Bay Packers. They are 7-2. They are at the Indianapolis Colts. They are 6-3. You have some good old boys at quarterback, Big C. It's a Sunday 4:25 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And I don't know if I'm buying this. The Colts are favored by 2. I know they have a great defense, but I'm not sure if they don't get a couple of turnovers, in my opinion, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got two outstanding defenses playing in this game, and it's a long way from a Super Bowl matchup. But Aaron Rodgers has been hot as of late. In his last 3 games, he's had 9 touchdown passes, Charlton. So he's on fire throwing the football. It's about the running game with the Packers. Will it be healthy enough? Will Aaron Jones be healthy in the backfield and give him that assistance that he needs? We know that Phillip Rivers has played well the last couple of games. But, can he stay mistake-free? Can he get out of this game without throwing an interception? That's going to be the huge difference. The coach lost a couple of defensive players last week, so it may give the Packers an advantage.
If you have a player that's leading his team from behind, it's like Phillip Rivers has had a rebirth since being traded from from the LA Chargers, Big C. Would you trust him if they have to come from behind? I know you trust Aaron Rodgers if they got to come from behind, but do you have the same kind of faith in a Phillip Rivers if they come from behind and they got to score a touchdown in the final 2 minutes? Your thoughts?
I mean, you have that basically in any NFL starting quarterback. Phillip Rivers has been down that road before, and he has the ability and the tools in Indianapolis to get it done, and we've seen him do it this year.
Yeah, we've seen him do that. I would love to see that game. It's an indoor game, so it's not going to hurt any team being outside, but I'm really interested to see if the Packers can go into that environment and play a good defense and come out with a win. Another big game. I mean, it's probably the biggest game the Raiders have had in many, many moons, Big C. It's all fair, love, and war, but the defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, them good boys are 8-1 on the season, and the only team that's knocked them off has been the Las Vegas Raiders. They have so much of a revenge mentality. They're going into Las Vegas. The Raiders are 6-3, but in my opinion, they're a lucky 6-3. They should have lost that game to the Colts, not the Colts, but the Chargers at home. And I'm just not sure if they're what they are appearing to be on record. They have a lot of guys out due to COVID-19. Las Vegas is paying attention. It's a Sunday 8:20 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on NBC Sports. And the Chiefs are favored by 8, but it might be more than that. The Raiders are going to play with some high school players on defense.
Well, the majority of the Raiders' defense is in COVID protocol.
Yeah.
But I think Mr. Mahomes might be a little pissed off because that's the only time he threw an interception this year was against the Raiders' defense.
Yeah.
But, he's been on a hot streak. His last 2 games, he's thrown 9 touchdown passes, Charlton. So I don't see him throwing less than 4 against this Las Vegas Raiders defense.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, he has to play another phenomenal game against the Raiders. Last time he played against them, he had 4 passes over 50 yards.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to duplicate that feat to keep the Raiders in this game, Charlton. When you think about the Raiders' running game, they were dominant last week. And so they have to control the ball on the ground and keep it out of Mahomes' hands because once they turn it over to him, Charlton, he's looking to go deep.
Yeah, the Raiders were dominant against the Denver Broncos, and the quarterback, they said he had a bad hand, but he just couldn't find anyone open because maybe he's just not that good. But they keep paying Luck, Big C. Drew Lock is all fair in Love and War. Got to get some thoughts on Derek Carr. His brother, David Carr, they both came out of Bakersfield, California and played at Fresno State. And Derek Carr, the younger brother, he was so much maligned last year when they were playing in Oakland. Maybe getting away from California, going down into Vegas, having better receivers. The receiving crew is amazing. He's playing a lot better football, and a lot of people said that he would not even be with the team this year. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's always the media, but, he knew he was going to be with the Raiders when they moved to Vegas. He bought a house next door to John Gruden, so he goes over and cuts his grass every day, and he knew he had job security doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure he does more than cut the grass. He probably gets into the refrigerator. You have someone come into your house, and they just get up and get in the refrigerator, don't even wash their hands or even ask me for your thoughts.
This is the reason I don't have company.
It's all for 11 War. Don't be down in that bunker with Donald Trump, Big C. Get out and get some sunshine. It's all fair in 11 War. The final game coming up for this weekend, it's a Thanksgiving weekend, and I hope that everybody can stay safe. Some people are traveling, some people are not. No matter what you do, just appreciate everything you have in life. The beautiful Los Angeles Rams, they have a beautiful stadium. I don't like the new uniforms. I like the old-style uniforms. They are 6-3, and they're traveling across the country. They're going to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are also 7-3. It's a Monday night kickoff, 8:15 p.m. East Coast time on ESPN. And because it's a late game, I give the Rams some hope. But you don't want to leave your Rams untight when you got a couple of Pirates hanging around. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is going to be an interesting game, Charlton. You got the first African-American officiating crew for an NFL game, Charlton.
Yep.
It's in prime time against two teams that are playing well as of late.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Rams, handled business last week. They went up and down the field against the Seattle Seahawks. And when you think about Jared Goff, he's seeming to find his groove now at quarterback, Charlton.
Yep.
His running game has really helped him out. His receivers are staying healthy. Tom Brady has been Jekyll and Hyde down in Tampa. 1 week he got a running game with Ronald Jones. The week before,
Yep.
he doesn't know where the line of scrimmage is.
Yeah.
But both teams have outstanding defensive front. This is going to be a game which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes will come out victorious.
Yeah, and two California quarterbacks. Brady came out of Sarah High School in San Mateo, and then your good old boy Goff came out of the North Bay up in the Novato area, and so two California quarterbacks going against each other in the world of the NFL. That's Big C's thoughts for NFL football. It's a big-time games, people making big-time plays, and it's coming up before Thanksgiving, so I know a lot of people are figuring out will they have something to play for after they eat the turkey biggie. It's all fair in 11 War. I want to get some thoughts, Big C's thoughts on college football for the games that are going to be played, because there's a lot of games that have been knocked out due to COVID-19. I really hope that players can stay safe. We know that they're just moving someone out and putting other players in. There's a couple of games tonight already underway. Syracuse, they're 1-7. They're at Louisville. That's 2-6 on the season. That game's already underway. It's just about to kick off, actually. And then you have another game that's coming up tonight. You have Purdue 2-1 at Minnesota 1-3. Big C, those two teams have to be a little bit disappointed, especially Minnesota. They went undefeated last year until they went up against Ohio State, I believe. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, P.J. Flick did a wonderful job last year, but this has been a different year, a trying year for all athletes and coaches in college football.
Yeah.
Is that no one really got off to the normal start that they did. They went without spring training, Charlton. They just jumped right into the season, and it's been a struggle for a lot of those teams that had high expectations.
Yeah, it really has. Well, hopefully they'll get things turned back around later this year. Another game, New Mexico 0-3 at the Air Force Academy. That's 1-2. Massachusetts 0-2 at Florida Atlantic 4-1. I want to get into tomorrow's game. It's the biggest game for the Indiana since they had, I would say, Bobby Knight had an undefeated basketball team in the 70s, Big C. But Indiana, I think Bobby Knight is actually coaching this team, because no one can tell me that he's not coaching this team. They have a really big game. The Hoosiers are ranked 10th in the country. It's a COVID-19 season in 2020, and here they are ranked 10th in the country. They're 4-0. They're at the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes that are ranked 3 in the country, and they are 3-0. To me, somebody's going to have a come-to-Jesus moment tomorrow. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Indiana, Charlton, in this game, they could flip the script in the Big Ten for dominance. They have not beaten Ohio State since 1969.
Wow.
Long, long time ago. But they're coming up into this game against a formidable opponent. You think about Justin Fields. Everybody talks about who's the best quarterback in the country. Justin Fields is going to put his hat in the ring of being the best quarterback in the country. Charlton, we haven't seen at this point of the season ever in the history of college football that a quarterback has less incompletions than he has touchdowns.
Wow.
That's Justin Fields, Charlton. Through 3 games, he has less incompletions than he has touchdown passes. So this is a guy, when you talk about being efficient,
Yep.
he doesn't waste his time when he's throwing the ball. He doesn't want to look at 3rd down and 10. He is finding his open receivers and getting the ball to them. Ohio State is just a physically dominant juggernaut in the Big Ten. Ryan Day has only lost 1 game since being the head coach of the Ohio Buckeyes in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So Indiana has a tall mountain to climb if they want to stay in this game.
I want to ask you, do you believe in miracles? If the unforeseen happened and Al Michaels comes out and says, do you believe in miracles like he did when the USA beat Russia in the hockey Big C, it would put Ohio State season on ice, just like the great game that Al Michaels called, I believe it was in Lake Placid Big C. So if Indiana has any chance, they can't assume that they're playing the Ohio State Buckeyes. They got to just play as if they're playing anybody else in that conference, Big C. You'd see any chance of them having the chance to get a knockoff, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, since 1969, the average margin of victory of Ohio State over Indiana, Charlton, has been 21 points.
Yep.
Last year, they beat Indiana by 20. 28 points. The margin on this game is 20.5.
Yeah.
I see Ohio State covering the spread.
Yeah, if not, then it'd be nuts not to win, if that makes any sense to you. And the Buckeye is a nut. Another big game that's a bigger game than a lot of people expect. Clemson's not used to coming off of a loss unless it's in the the national championship game, Big C. They have a big game coming up because of the team that used to beat them all the time. They're number 4 in the country. They are 7-1 on the season. They're going to get their star quarterback back. And they're playing on the road at Florida State. They're 2-6 on the season. Florida State has talent, but they're nowhere near Clemson. But sometimes when a kid gets knocked off when he's 18, 19, 20 years old, maybe they don't respond as well as they should. Any fear that Clemson might face 2 losses in a row, Big C, your thoughts?
You know, Florida State is a roster in dismay, Charlton. Mike Norvell has not been able to get this team to understand his coaching philosophy that's taking over down at Florida. You're going to look at Clemson. They're going to be smarting. Trevor Lawrence has 17 touchdown passes in the games that he has played.
Yeah.
Only 2 interceptions. I see him building on that by at least 5 in this game because they have to make a statement against Florida State. Not just win the game, but they got to kick some Heine.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do in Florida State. This will be an embarrassment with the Seminoles.
Yeah. I would ask you, did you say kick some Heine or Heineken, Big C? Your thoughts?
They're going to kick some butt.
They got to kick some butt. It's all fair in Love and War. Big C, number 5, Florida. The Gators might just be the best team in the SEC, and anybody can say that. But they did have that loss down in Texas because A&M knows how to give the officials a paperback lunch, if that makes any sense to you. But the Florida Gators, they are 5-1 on the season. They're at Vanderbilt, which is 0-6 on the season. It's a noontime kickoff on ESPN. That should be a 5-touchdown game, Big C. Your thoughts?
Very easy. Kyle Trask will have 5 touchdown passes in this game, Charlton.
Yep.
You saw him have 6 last week in that game. Kyle Trask is one of the most underrated players in college football coming into the season, and yet he has vaulted to the top of the Heisman contenders, here late in the season, Charlton. But this won't be a chance. Derek Mason will take another loss down at Vanderbilt and be looking for a new job next year.
Yeah, he'll be looking for a new job next year. The biggest game that no one knows about, Big C, Appalachian State. When you think about it, Big C, down in the South, they're 6-1. They're at number 18, Coastal Carolina. That's 7-0. I'm not buying it. I know their records are pretty swat. 6-1 is not bad. 7-0 is even better. No chance at all for them to make any splash, no matter who wins. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Coastal Carolina has been the surprise of the year, Charlton. This is a team that won only 2 games last year, and yet they're 7-0 this year. Having an outstanding season with a young freshman quarterback. Appalachian State, everybody still remembers when they beat Michigan at the Big House.
Yeah.
I like Coastal Carolina remaining undefeated in this game.
Yeah, I wish them nothing but the best. I want to go to last year's defending national champions, the LSU Tigers. They're 2-3, and they're at the Arkansas Razorbacks that are 3-4. It's a big game for SEC, not necessarily for winning a conference championship, Big C, but it's a big game because both of these teams are in the heartbed of football in the South. Has LSU melded in, Big C? Your thoughts?
No, Charlton, but this is a desperation game for LSU. Coming off their national championship run and having 3 losses already on this year, and they've lost 2 games to COVID-19. So they desperately need a win against a hot Arkansas team that lost last week to Florida. But Felipe Franks has been playing well.
Yeah.
LSU has been, flipping coins who's going to play quarterback. They're unstable at that position.
Yeah.
So they might be primed to be knocked off by the Hogs.
Yeah, remember earlier in the year, Ed Orgeron said, everybody has COVID, so what's the problem? It's all fair and love and war. I think they're very bit listless because of that. I want to bring you to another game that maybe has some outside national championship implications written into it. Number 7, Cincinnati, the Bearcats. I know you like their program, Big C. They're 7-0. They're at Central Florida, 5-2. So athletic-wise, Central Florida is a really good team athletically. Cincinnati, if they're going to stay undefeated, they got to go down into the heat and humidity of Florida. Maybe not hot, but at least the humidity, Big C. Your thoughts?
And Central Florida has a quarterback that nobody's really talking about, Dylan Gabriel. One of the best young quarterbacks, young lefty out of Honolulu, Hawaii, Charlton, who has put up phenomenal numbers.
Yeah.
In his first 4 games of the year, all of those were 400-plus yard passing games until they lost to Memphis. And he had over 400 in that game, Charlton. But this is a team that is explosive offensively, that they can score points with anybody. But when we look at Cincinnati, this is a complete football team that Luke Finkel has put together in the River City, Charlton. So this is going to be a high-scoring affair, but I still like Cincinnati.
Yeah, they got to hold their breath. Those guys down in Florida can play. That quarterback that you talked about, nobody knows about him, but they'll be talking about him after Saturday night, in my opinion. Number 12, Wisconsin, the Badgers. They're 2-0. They were knocked out of a couple of games due to COVID-19, but they're a very strong team. However, they are on the road at number 20, Northwestern. Northwestern, these good old boys are 4-0, Big C, so they have double the experience, and they don't lose a lot at home. Give me your feeling on Wisconsin going into Northwestern. It's a 3:30 kickoff on ABC Sports, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about it, the Big Ten will be down to 2 undefeated teams after this weekend. You got the Ohio State-Indiana matchup of undefeated, and now you have the Wisconsin-Northwestern matchup of undefeated. And who would have thought that these would have been the undefeated games in the Big Ten at this point of the season?
Yeah.
But I like Wisconsin and their freshman quarterback. He can really throw the football.
Yep.
You always know that they got one of the hugest offensive lines in captivity where they will just maul people and push them all over the field. They generally have some of the best linebackers in the country.
Yep.
Northwestern is that team that has snuck up on people under Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
They're 4-0, and he has this young team playing well. But I still like the experience that Wisconsin have been in this situation before.
Yeah, it's not new at all for Wisconsin being in a situation where they have to win a game. Another game that I think has a lot of interest, I don't want to make it throw up, Big C, but UCLA, they're 1-0. They're undefeated on the West Coast, Big C. They don't have Troy Aikman at quarterback, but maybe they don't need him. They're at national powerhouse number 13, Oregon, the Ducks. They're 2-0 on the season. It's a 3:30 kickoff East Coast time on ESPN2 at Austin Stadium. I think the Ducks are going to roll, but if it was a real fight, I think a Bruin could beat a Duck any day of the week, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I like the way you guys do your math out there on the West Coast, because I think at the first game of the season, the Buffaloes kicked the Bruins all in the butt up and down the field. They're in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
So I think they do have a hiccup on their schedule, but Oregon is the best team out there in the Pac-12. They're 2-0. They have the best program out there, and they're going to continue to roll. They'll be 3-0 after coming out of this game against one of those teams out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I tried to sneak it past you, Big C. The Bruins are 0-1, but in fact, they got a win over Cal, so they're actually 1-1. They lost a game at Colorado earlier this season. Another big game, and I hope it does not have any coaching implications in the Big Ten, but you have Coach Franklin. Iowa's 2-2, and they're disappointing. But Penn State is even more disappointing at 0-4. I don't want to hear any talk of Franklin being in trouble, though, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he has to win. That's the bottom line. You've been given the tools to win, but they have had poor play at quarterback this year, at Penn State. That's been their inconsistency there.
Yeah.
When you look at Iowa, this is a team that's been up and down at 2-2. You never know which Hawkeye team is going to show up. They were down by 17 points last week and pulled out a victory. So, we're going to see.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens. Big C, we have also on the West Coast, Cal Berkeley. They're 0-1. They're playing at Oregon State 0-2. We have also on the West Coast, San Jose State is 4-0. I think they haven't been 4-0 since like 1955. They're playing at Fresno State Bulldog Stadium. They're 3-1 on the season. Oklahoma State's number 14 in the country. They're 5-1. They're at number 17. Oklahoma 5-2. But a couple of big games that I think you'll be maybe eating the Big C burger over Big C. You have Southern California. I think they're ranked too low. At least I'm hoping. They're number 19 in the country. They're 2-0 on the season. They won their last two games by coming from behind against Arizona State and Arizona. They're up in Utah. Utah's been knocked up by COVID-19. So there's no way the Trojans should lose to a Ute. It's a late game, though. It's a 10:30 kickoff, East Coast time on ESPN. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, as you spoke about, USC has had to struggle in their two victories, Charles. They haven't showed any dominance in their games. They've been lucky. They got that horseshoe that they took off the horse, just limping around the stadium and stuck it in their back pocket. So, going up to Utah might be a little chilly up there. And, those boys from California might have to put on some long sleeves and be a little stiff in a game like this. But Utah was a team that USC knocked off last year, and they're looking to return the favor.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Trojans. Even if they got to bring Mike Garrett, and there's some talk that even they may have a couple of guys that won Heisman trophies in the backfield running for the Trojans. They got to get this game, especially for Clay Helton's sake. Big C. Another big game that's down south that might have you salivating. You have the University of Alabama. They're 6-0. They're at home versus Kentucky 3-4, and that's a game that's going to kick off 4 o'clock on the SEC network. Is Nick Saban nervous that some good boys that might bring a few things with them? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the only thing that they're hoping, Charlton, is they bring some Kentucky Fried Chicken so that Alabama won't have something to eat after the game after they run all over the Wildcats.
It's all fair level war. I also want to just bring up Washington State 1-1 at Stanford 0-2. Boise State 3-1 on the island at Hawaii. And the big game for the West Coast still, you have North Alabama, the 0-3 at BYU 8-0. I think that hurts BYU to play teams that are not dominant, but if BYU has a chance to get their quarterback at least higher in the Heisman Trophy ranking. So Big C, that's Big C's thoughts on college football coming up over this weekend. I'm hoping that everybody stays healthy because we know we need a lot of healthy players in the world of college football. Big C, it's amazing how much money people have. The Aaron Fox just agreed to a 5-year, $163 million max extension with the Sacramento Kings and the clause to reach $195 million supermax. They haven't made the playoffs in 13 years, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's the NBA market. You have to spend the money to cover your cap in the NBA. And the Kings are like many other teams in the NBA that have not made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But, when you have the money available and you're trying to build a franchise, you have to put some young players in place. Yeah,
you got to put some young players in place, Big C. Speaking of putting young players in place, I think Dwight Howard decided to stay with the Lakers. But I want to get your thoughts on this NBA trade. I know the deadline's already underway, and you have James Harden, and there's so much talk about Harden. Harden's only been in the finals one time. That was when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then you have Gordon Hayward with the Boston Celtics. There's so much talk about where these guys will play, but neither one of them have ever won a championship. Big C, your thoughts?
I mean, that's common in the NBA. Had Anthony Davis ever won anything prior to going to the Lakers last year, and he went there with much fanfare? I would rather have, Gordon Hayward or James Harden in a situation. You look at the Warriors, they have an opportunity because of Klay Thompson's injury, is that they can bring in an NBA veteran under a max contract. So, I mean, if you talk about somebody who can shoot the ball, that's Gordon Hayward or James Harden would be a perfect fit with that organization.
If you had your choice and you're going to offer somebody a bigger contract and they have nothing to prove, who do you like as far as being a role player? James Harden's not going to be a role player anywhere he goes. I think Hayward he wasn't really a role player when they had him up in Utah, Big C. But would you think that either one could put their ego aside, become a role player, or do they have to be number one option in your thoughts?
They're not going to be a role player regardless of where they go, Charlton. They're looking to go to an organization that they can have an impact in, that they're going to be in the starting lineup. You know that Harden, wherever he goes, he's going to be in the starting lineup. You know, Gordon Hayward, he walked away from a $34 million guaranteed contract in Boston to become a free agent.
Yeah.
He may want to go back to Indiana because that's where he's from, at Butler University. His wife is from Indiana. James Harden is just a hired gun. He's going to go where he's the best fit.
Yeah.
You know, Philadelphia is right now on the top of his list because they don't have a competing shooter if he goes to Philadelphia.
Yeah, Big C, is going to be a lot of good things happening in the world of the NBA. I'm more excited about veteran players that are being signed or re-signed or extended more than I am some kids coming out of the college, but it's all fair and love and war. There's some news out of Canada. You know we love, Canada. I hope you keep NBA basketball. I know it's just because of COVID-19. The country will not allow the Toronto Raptors to have teams coming in and out of Canada playing in NBA. So they're going to go down to Tampa. And Big C, you know, we've had teams come out of Tampa before, and, come out of Canada before. The Vancouver Grizzlies, they had built a beautiful arena up in Vancouver, and they ended up down in Memphis. I hope that they don't find greener pastures in Tampa than they do in Toronto. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the NBA right now is the least of Canada's concerns. They have the NHL, which is their bread and butter when you talk about professional sports.
Yeah.
And that's what they're concerned with. What are they going to do with the NHL season and Gary Bettman, the commissioner? That's something that really has to be worked out because the Canadian borders are closed right now to non-essential travel.
Yeah.
And when you think, I believe there's 6 or 7 professional hockey teams in Canada. That's their major concern right now.
Yeah, and they want to keep people safe. So I know they're going to do what's best. You know, the country of Canada doing their best. Out here in California, Gavin Newsom, he went to a restaurant over in the Napa Valley, and it's called the French Laundry. And you got to make reservations, and the food's very expensive. But they don't give you a lot to eat. They should really add the Big C burger to the menu of the French Laundry. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. You can get it with the Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, and it goes great with the Big C burger. Gavin Newsom was seeing not social distancing, even though California's under curfew. If he's going to be the governor of California, you can't be at the French Laundry when people can't get in. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what everybody is going through, COVID-19 fatigue.
Yeah.
You know, the governor happened to be seen out in California. Someone took a picture and snitched on it.
Yeah.
But you're out there at your own peril when you go out and don't social distance and don't wear a mask.
Yeah, it's all fair and love and war. There's some prep football. We love doing Friday Night Lights, and a lot of games have been put on pause all over the country. Would you believe, Big C, we've had over 245,000 fatalities due to COVID-19, or close to that amount, and because Donald Trump lied, and he said it was a hoax. His wife got it, he got it, his daughter-in-law got it, his friends have gotten it, all of them have gotten it, and they got access to the best medication that Americans don't have. But can you believe there's some high school parents that are suing the governors to try to get them to play football, even though a lot of those classes have gone to online? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, unfortunately, we've exceeded 251 COVID-19 fatalities in America, and we're nearing 200,000 cases a day in this country, a horrific number. And it's a shame that people don't want to adhere to the science, but I can understand why so many people have COVID fatigue. Is because we don't have clear messages as a country.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different message on how this should be handled, how it should be looked at home and in public. And so that's the biggest discrepancy we have.
Yeah.
And so since we don't have a clear-cut message coming from the administration, I can understand these parents' frustration because they haven't been told on a nationwide mandate how to handle COVID-19.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have all these different scenarios occurring constantly in America until after January 21st, 2021.
Yeah, that's fair and loving. Our last story of Big C, 54-year-old Mike Tyson is going to fight again. He's going to fight Roy Jones Jr. It's going to be on the 28th, and I guess, you got a 54-year-old and 51-year-old man fighting. Usually when they fight, it's about who's cutting too far on the other man's lawn, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, anybody will do anything, Charlton, to make a buck.
Yeah.
Who wants to see this fight? I mean, if this fight had taken place 25 years ago, maybe it would have sparked some interest, but I don't see it anymore.
No, I don't see it anymore either. It's all fair and level war. We wish them nothing but the best. Everybody be safe for the holidays, especially if you're traveling. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in this boys' universe?
Well, Charlton, I've been amazed that we've gotten this far into the football season on all levels, but we've had over 80 football games canceled on the college football level this season. How many more before the season is over, and hopefully no player has to be hospitalized. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, first responders. They make sure everyone gets a healthy check every day.
Everybody stay healthy, and stay healthy every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. You can follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, that's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone, ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.